So first, I just want to say, Amber, thanks for your amazing presentation, and I feel like I want to be the first one to sign up for your 6-way workshop. And now we can actually continue our emotion journal, but let's switch emotion a little bit from trauma to happiness. So, hey everyone, I am so glad to be here today to talk about how I use cartography and map for storytelling and visualizing happiness. So my name is Qingyue Li. I work as UI designer by day and information designer by night. I'm really passionate about dataways, especially when it comes to the intersection of geospatial mapping. So this year, I actually worked on 3 data visualization set projects, and I would love to show you how I apply design and cartography concept to my visualization to tell the story about happiness in different parts of the world. So maybe we can start by this very first project. It's called Happy People, Happy Plan. So I initiated this project back to January of this year, and I collaborated with Erikio Mazzado, a data visualization designer from Peru. To our delight, our poster, which highlight in orange here, actually won the 3rd prize in the 2023 World Data Visualization Competition poster category. And our project really dived into the theme of sustainable happiness. So in this poster, we actually utilize a variety of chart, diagram, and of course a map to investigate the relationship between human happiness and environmental resource consumption. So the primary challenge was data or the topic selection. So for this competition, we were presented with a really broad range of data sets to use as a foundation for our visualization. We actually settled on exploring happiness as it resonates deeply with us, especially now in the post-pandemic phase of the late 2023, with depression and also anxiety rate reaching a new high. So our inspiration was to inspire a fresh perspective on happiness and its interplay with the environment. And when it comes to the data, we actually started with the Happy Planet Index dataset provided by the World Government Summit website. And we integrate this with the ecological footprint dataset to show the relationship between environmental costs and also traditional happiness indicator. So here you can actually see some of our very early on exploration. So this is also what I like to call the ugly graphic face. So on the right side is our very first poster draft. So in here, I really start to begin considering how to represent happiness in a map format. And then one day, I start to ask myself, when I think about the word happiness, what things do I associate with the most? And I actually realized a smiling face and a warm yellow color were 2 visual cues that just jumped immediately to my head. And after several discussions with Erikio, we actually decided to use the variation of the smiling face emoji as a visual metaphor, representing each nation's happiness. We also tried different color combination, and we end up with red, blue, and green to show the highest to lowest ecological footprint. And this decision also became the foundation for a unified visual system that's connecting all the elements of our poster, including the map, but also all the different types of charts. And here is actually the final map we create. So in here you can see we use a biovariant map to study the relationship between the Happy Planet Index and ecological footprint, examine the average from 2010 to 2020. And each emoji in here actually conveying this value. So the smiling face sides actually represent the country's population. Its color displays the ecological footprint. And the facial expression, of course, shows the happiness level. And from here, you can see there are a couple trends really jump out. So European country mostly fit into this high happiness and high footprint category, so high. And African country align with the low happiness and low footprint category. The Asian country, for now, is actually in a very mixed situation. So the map I just show actually present happiness in a spiritual format. So I was really curious to see the breakdown, how this breakdown by economy development. So in here, in this scatter plot, we actually choose not to use emoji. Instead, we replace this with the shape to differentiate developing country, which represent by circle, and developed country, which are represented by triangle in here. Our analysis showed that countries with a high happiness index also have a high ecological footprint index. As countries develop, there's a breaking down where happiness stops increasing with an increasing ecological footprint. And one of the interesting takeaways is that we find countries like Costa Rica, Mexico, Panama, and Brazil have achieved this balance between sustainability and happiness. Despite having relatively low ecological footprint, these countries are just as happy as more developed European countries. It will be interesting to see whether this trend of Central American countries can hold this balance in a longer term. Also, in case if you're curious, here are all the tools we actually use to create our visualization for the project. So I actually used the S3 Map Viewer Smart Mapping Filter for the map layout. And then I made the transition to Figma to swap various circle with the right smiling face. Additionally, I also noticed that the brand new 2023 dashboard published on the Happiness Report website 2 months after we won the competition also used the smiling face as a visual cue for the first time to represent happiness level in different countries. Last but not least, this project actually inspired me to find the balance between consumption and my own sense of happiness. So this actually led to an ongoing Instagram set project, Mapping Happiness, where I document small, joyful moments from everyday life. For this project, I'm collaborating with the Ted, information designer from Netherlands, to really challenge the association between happiness and material perception. We're aiming to inspire our Instagram followers to be more aware of what truly brings them joy in small moments. So in this project, mapping is used as a metaphor. And our project actually categorizes happy moments into forming types by our logical, psychological, spiritual, and social. And this category are actually inspired from a really famous New York Times selling book. It's called You're Happier. So in his book, biological happiness refers to how one's physical body and brain function. So for me, happiness in this category, including giving myself an afternoon coffee break at home, or go to my favorite HIIT class. For Ted, it's actually involved observing the change season and taking walk in nature when the weather is really nice. Second one is the psychology of happiness. It's actually affected by developmental issue and how you think. So for me, this category can include starting my day with a really mindfulness book or finding a moment of peace with a singing bowl. For Ted, happiness made a race from discovering our unexpected James Bond-style secret base in a parking lot or experiencing a reward feeling of seeing his work being published. The book actually describes the spiritual happiness as your connection to God, to play past and future generation, and your deeper sense of meaning and purpose. So I find happiness in this category when I take back-to-back sound bathing class at my favorite yoga studio, or when I receive a thoughtful gift from my neighbor. For Ted, spiritual happiness sometimes can mean feeling pride for his country or savoring the scent of homemade waffle made by his mom. Social happiness refers to the social support, your current life situation, and influence. So for me, some happiness moments in this category including taking a coffee and donut break with my neighbor on the weekend, and enjoying brunch with my mom. For Ted, this can mean playing with his dog or receiving surprise flower. But more importantly, this project has not only enhanced my appreciation for small joyful moments I may have previously overlooked, but also helped me discover unexpected joys in my day-to-day. So I actually feel so happy when Ted remembered how much I love Mifei and share a photo of the new collection at his local store. I also realized that we can actually draw inspiration from each other's routine. So I learned that Ted used a cup of cappuccino to end his workday. And now I will adopt a very similar trick. So I actually reward myself with a piece of chocolate every afternoon. There are also some universal sources of happiness, like playing with your pet and planting a plant. But in parallel, I actually work on another project called the Garden of Joys, Visualizing Collective Happiness, which aim to capture and portray happiness through engaging databases. Reflecting on my first project, Happy People, Happy Plan, I learned that most data related to happiness are collected only at the country level. So this really limits my exploration of the topic on a more in-depth scale. However, this limitation actually inspired me to think more creatively and craft my own data set to understanding this topic on a local level, allowing for a deeper exploration of regional nuance within a country. So the theoretical framework for this project is based on the PERMA, P-E-R-M-A model, which represents 5 core elements of happiness and well-being. There are positive emotion, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. So for this project, I chose the United States as a focal point to explore how happiness can values by regions within the United States. So to understand this, I combined Google Trend data with 134 survey response I received in August, crafting a zoom-in data set. In the surveys I sent out, I actually used the PERMA model as a framework to group my question about the source of happiness into 5 broader categories. I also asked participants specifically about the new activities that have sparked their joys in the past 12 months, and those what they may have Googled. So here, from the graphic in the middle, you can see one sample question asked. And in here, like accomplishment is referred as A in the PERMA model. Although I tried my best, but the number of the survey response was still very limited. For some states like West Virginia and Alaska, I end up with 0 response. So given the link of the comprehensive sub-national data, leveraging Google Trend data at the state level actually allowed me to reduce the gap and understand the difference in happiness across the United States. So to align with what I asked in the surveys, this model also relies on people engaging in new activities, as I assume they were not going to Google things already established routine in their life. Then I map out the top 3 search joys in each category of the PERMA model. So let's continue to use accomplishment as one example. So as you can see from here, planning trip, pursuing personal growth, and meeting fitness goals are the 3 things that bring accomplishment-related happiness to people's daily life based on the survey result. And the value of this result is actually from Google Trend. So this approach helped me to transfer broader data into localized insight. I use the garden as metaphor for this visualization as I associate the outdoor and nature with happiness. It's also a metaphor that brings joy to me. So we can also think here that some states like Utah and Mississippi are ranked pretty high in all or most of the top 3 accomplishment examples. However, in this graph, it's really hard to see this high-level trend. So eventually, I actually figured out a map is actually the perfect visual format to highlight some high-level trend of where people have a higher interest of improving happiness. So in this section of the poster, I summarized the interest in improving happiness across the PERMA model category at the regional level. And notably, you can see here the majority of the top ranking states in terms of the happiness improvement searcher are all located in the South, where the Midwest region tend to have the lowest level of such searcher. And since we have limited time, we can skip this slide. So happiness actually flourishes best with regular care and attention. What set of joys have you planned in your life over the past year? Study actually suggests that recognizing this joyful moment can enhance our happiness. So I really hope this talk today can inspire you to continue cultivating your happiness with your own unique element of the PERMA model. As for the impact, this project has been nominated for the Information is Beautiful Award 2023. So thanks, everyone. If you're interested in diving deeper into data visualization about happiness or mapping, I'm always here for chat.